welcome to another episode of Elevator Pitch. I am Altair.
I am Hazel.
And today we have an Adres Hagedorn edition.
Woo!
Hello.
All that introduction is just like, hey.
Hey.
It's me.
He's back.
He's back.
I'm back with more.
Back by popular demand.
Exactly. And he's back with a film that he thinks ruined a franchise. As you know, last week it was Hazel's turn to present her film that ruined a franchise, which was Alien Resurrection.
Check that out if you haven't heard it yet.
Exactly. The week before, I I came with Batman and Robin, the movie that invented the term ruin a franchise. And just in case you don't remember what this podcast is about, we usually introduce each other films that the other one hasn't seen before, and usually we give a pitch, like a little synopsis of what the film is about, and then 5 reasons why the other person should like it. But since today we're talking about films that ruin a franchise, we're just gonna give 5 reasons why this film
Sucked.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Andres, for joining us once more.
No problem. Thanks for having me here.
So give us your elevator pitch of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I think is the name.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to say I've always been a really big Indiana Jones fan. I think it was one of my favorite franchises. So naturally, when this movie came out, I was really excited about it. And the reason I'm here is because I think this movie really, I think everyone knows that this movie was really lackluster and it didn't do justice to this great franchise. And that's what I'm going to be talking about this next hour.
Amazing.
So I'm going to start with a short synopsis of the film. In the midst of the Cold War era, famous archaeologist Indiana Jones teams up with Matt Williams, a biker, and his illegitimate son in a race against the Russians for the possession of a legendary and otherworldly artifact known as the Crystal Skull, which is said to be the key to obtaining unimaginable mind control powers.
Okay. I love how you introduce his bastard son.
That's what it is.
Bastard.
I just didn't know how to describe it because he's his son, but you don't know that until like later in the film.
Yeah.
So if you introduce it as his son, you imagine that the film is him and his son, but it's not really like that until like later. So I just thought he's gonna call him what he really is,
It's
pretty
a
accurate.
bastard. No.
Fair enough.
Right. Well, the reasons I think this movie is bad and ruined this franchise are the following. I think, the first reason is I just wrote Aliens. Because
Yeah.
this is not a franchise that that is normally associated with stuff like this, like science fiction and aliens. On the contrary, like it usually deals with like more like a mysticism and like ancient or occult things. It's an adventure series about like archaeology and action and adventure, and I don't know why they thought that aliens would be a good idea for the movie. I think since the movie takes place in the Cold War, naturally because this movie was shot like decades after the last movie was shot, so the main actor Harrison Ford is I don't know, was 65 or something when he shot this film.
Mm-hmm.
So they naturally had to like make the time period of the movie match the age of the actor. So I think they were trying to look for something that would make sense in that era because World War II was over. And I think like the Sputnik and the space race was going on, and I don't know.
But you think they could have used, I don't know, something with the space race, right?
Yeah, that's why I think.
To be
the
plot of the film.
Steven Spielberg saying we had to use the Russians as the villains
Yeah,
because
that's
it was the
fine.
Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, did
But
it
that's
have to
fine. I
be
think the
aliens?
Russians are great villains in movies. They.
I was just saying earlier that it's a very Hollywood trope that you either have the evil Russians or the evil English people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like this is also Indiana Jones. Like you can't have Indiana Jones being like progressive or something like that. He just fights.
It's the 50s.
He's a hero that embodies the good old American values. And, he's gonna,
Racism and stereotyping.
yes, and fighting against against the communists.
Exactly, yeah.
So you can't expect like anything else. I think it makes sense for the character to be in this scenario. But the thing about the aliens is that it really it's just something that doesn't belong in this world, in this world they created, and it just takes you out of the movie. It's just weird and bizarre, and I don't know why they didn't just search some other mystical artifact from some other culture, maybe Asia, maybe Russia, whatever. Like, why did they go this direction, and why did they do it like this? Because as we go on with the plot later,
I think it would have been cool if they'd have made us believe, oh, aliens though, and then at the end it was something completely different. That
Right.
was just the myths.
well, that's the thing. It's not actually aliens. They do explain later in the movie that it's like interdimensional beings or something. But it's like they look like aliens. They are flying saucer.
What's the difference?
They're aliens. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird. Second reason I think this movie it doesn't work is because Indiana Jones is old.
Yeah.
And that really it goes against everything these movies mean to people, because Indiana Jones is a hero that he needs to be young, or at least he needs to be younger enough that you can believe that he can pull all of these things off, and it's a character that is an ideal. Like people want to be him. Every guy wants to be Indiana Jones and be like cool and smart and resourceful and strong or whatever. And it just doesn't work with an old guy, because no one wants to be an old guy.
It's kind of sad in a way watching it, because he's so old.
He looks like a grandpa, and I mean he looks great for his age, whatever, like for a normal person, but for a character, for an action hero, and also he's together with this younger guy, he really looks like a grandpa, and he's running around and swinging his whip, and it just looks kind of ridiculous. Like Harrison Ford, when he was 30, he looks awesome with the cowboy hat and the jacket.
He looks even handsome, very handsome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. But it just doesn't work when he's older. He looks like a guy who's been wearing the same clothes for all his
50
life.
years.
Yeah, and he's just dressed up like a cowboy.
And I mean, do you think that the plan was to have Shia LaBeouf take over? Maybe they introduce him as a younger.
I don't think. I think they actually have said in interviews that they know that this is a Harrison Ford character. They cannot replace it. I don't know what they think now. I think maybe Disney will try to not replace the actor that plays Indiana Jones, but the kind of have a new actor take over the series. Maybe, and they're gonna call him Jerry Jones. I don't know, some other character.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. Yeah.
And that really, I mean, it's kind of cool to see Harrison Ford again kicking ass, but I don't know, he's just too old. They should have done it 10 years before or something. And now they're shooting another movie where he's even older.
Yeah.
He's gonna die shooting that film. Someone please stop him. He's gonna break his back.
Oh man,
This is elderly abuse what they're doing.
I know. Why would I don't know.
The money.
Yeah. No, I think Harrison Ford does like to play the character. He has said in many interviews he really thinks, this is his favorite character, I think. And I think he kind of thinks, I'm rich. Well, why can't I just play this character? I think he thinks he still got it. Yeah. And if I was him, I would definitely try it. Why not? But they should have made a script that would take advantage of this fact and not kind of try to make the same movie that they always did, but with him old and having him jumping from one track to the other and punching guys in the face. Okay, it's impossible. Even the original young Indiana Jones wasn't that strong. And, this is an old guy. Come on, this is ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
My third reason is because I wrote this movie has a confusing storyline and pointless characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they went really weird. They went really like overboard with all the explanations, and there's these aliens. There's like different aliens and different skulls, and like at some point, I've seen this movie like a billion times, and I still don't get it.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
because they find one alien in this warehouse, but then there's another alien.
That's
There's-
what I was wondering myself this morning. What was the point of that opening scene?
I don't know. To kind of set the plot. I mean, all the Indiana Jones movies start with a scene that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. There's always been like this. He's always in some cave looking for some treasure, and then there's a trap, and he escapes, and then the movie starts. It's kind of to set the tone.
Mhm.
But this scene was weird because they do show something that has to do with the movie, but then they never kind of bring it up again. Very late, they do show this alien again, but by this point you're so confused, and it's like the guy, this guy like found the skull and he became insane,
Mhm.
and then he put the skull back,
Yeah.
and then Indiana Jones goes and gets it, like,
Yeah.
it's just so confusing.
I mean, I was wondering if it was me because I hadn't seen all the other films, or that they're usually this complicated and you have to rewatch
No,
them a couple of
it's
times.
very normally it's very simple. It's
Okay.
like the Holy Grail. Like the bad guy wants the Holy Grail because it grants immortality, and Indiana Jones also wants the Holy Grail. And they go around the world. They find clues. They leads them to some sort of elaborate tomb
Trap,
with
yeah.
traps and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's very simple. It's a cup. You drink it. You're immortal, and it's there. It's somewhere in this country. Like in the first movie is the Ark of the Covenant. Everyone knows about the Ark. It's a famous Bible artifact. And the second movie is like another MacGuffin that is also very easy to understand. This skull is like, what does it do? How does it work? Why? Like, where does it come from? I think
Why is it magnetic?
why is it magnetic? And why does it work when you look at the skull? Like, I get it if you look at the alien in the eyes, the live alien, and you become like all weird, and then you find out all these truths and stuff, and your brain, like, I don't know, gets stimulated or whatever. But like, why looking at the skull makes it I just find it so bizarre.
Yeah, and I was just, again, we were talking about this morning. I was trying to work out, so John Hurt's character Oxley found the crystal skull, took it to the city, but didn't put it back, but instead took it back to the
He realized that
tomb.
the Russians were looking for it, and he kind of went back and hid it in this tomb, from what I understand. For some reason. I don't
I
know.
don't know. And then at some point he goes insane, but then at the end of the movie he's sane again.
Yeah. And he's insane through the whole movie, and because he looked too long at the skull.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I think we'll talk more about this as we go through the plot. But it's just, I don't get it. I don't get the thing with the skulls. It's just uninteresting and weird. And also the pointless characters. Like, there's, I don't know, this guy, Mac. This character, why is he in the movie?
Yeah. Well, I guess he functions, otherwise the Russians can't find them at the end.
Yeah,
You have to have a
he's-
traitor so that the Russians find them at the end.
Yeah, but I don't know. We as we go through the movie, I will want to talk about this, but these characters are like so badly written and so ridiculous, and they just, I don't know. They could have had like less characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that also, like, I mean, I guess they wanted to play a little bit more on the nostalgia things, so that's why they brought the ex-lover and the whole and to have her there, so that it's like, oh, look, she's from I think she's in the first movie.
Yeah, this is the first indie girl.
And so it's like I think they wanted to have that as look, like a gift for the fans, but at the end she
But she
doesn't
becomes
really
pointless.
do anything.
She's like the driver.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And Matt, this guy Oxley is also like, he's just there,
Yeah.
kind of explaining, giving like clues to the plot. But it's not really
See,
a
I would
character.
have no,
It's just
yeah,
some
like I
crazy
would
guy.
have preferred if Indiana Jones had to work out, had clues, and just had to work them out rather than just trying to talk to a crazy guy.
Yeah, the whole interesting thing about this movie is how they figure all these things out. He's always like in a cave and he I don't know, he finds some weird writing, but then he does something with the light in the sun and it reflects and like it shows him a map or something. And it's always very cool. It's like, so smart. But this is like, they just find these clues and like this guy tells him some words that he interprets and like, it's just not interesting. And there's also like very little excitement in all these things. When he goes into this tomb and he finds this where all these dead Spaniards conquistadors are, there's like no traps. There's nothing.
No, I was expecting something, and there was just those weird guys with like skeleton masks that they have to fight off.
Ah, do you mean in the end? Ah, right.
No, when they find the crystal skull initially.
Ah, yeah,
in
no.
Peru.
I was thinking when they find the skull first. In Peru.
Yeah.
Oh no, they fight first this weird like guy with
like these
the
skeleton
the dart blowgun.
Things, yeah.
Blowgun, I think it's called. Yeah, and that's it.
And they just disappear. There's
just-
like two of them. They come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then they scare him off with a gun, and that's it.
Well, and Indiana Jones blows into the guy's blowgun and kills him. I guess it kills
Jesus.
him. I don't know. Well, speaking about that, that's another thing. My fourth complaint about the movie is the lack of violence and the lack of sex. Because there's nothing.
This is what this franchise is built on.
Yeah, violence and sex. It's like James Bond,
Oh,
but American.
man.
But is
Oh,
it
boy.
like the other films have more violence and
The
more
other
sex?
films are like brutal and like Indiana Jones in this movie he doesn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
know,
Well,
like-
that guy, no?
Except for that
Yeah,
guy.
that guy kind of dies. Maybe he was just sleeping darts. Like in the old movies, he kills a lot of people. Like he just murders guys left and right.
Oh my god.
He's like much more like badass.
Yeah,
and,
I think-
he
I
doesn't
think-
take shit from anyone.
Yeah, but I think they wanted to make this one a little bit more family friendly.
That's the
no?
problem. Like,
Yeah.
that's the problem with an action adventure movie. You need to have like greedy like action and like excitement
Boobs.
and boobs. No, it's actually Indiana Jones doesn't have that much nudity, but it does have sexual tension, which this movie lacks because nobody wants to see old people making out. But
No one wants to see them get
it's
off.
just like a sterile, boring movie. Like no one wants to fuck anyone. Not even like Shia LaBeouf doesn't even want to fuck the Russian girl or something.
Oh god.
Like she's also like a asexual dictator or something.
Oh man.
And about the violence, like Indiana Jones used to shoot people all the time, and in this movie I think he doesn't shoot his gun. I think he only shoots it once to kind of scare these Peruvian locals away. And he can't shoot people because the problem of having an older Indiana Jones is that if you have a kid, if you have a kind of wife, I don't know, like if you're a family man, like this movie kind of wants him to be that. You can't go around killing people because it's like it's just wrong.
I mean, you had the idea that maybe it's like people who grew up with Indiana Jones who want to introduce their kids to Indiana Jones, so that's why they made it more family friendly.
That's what I thought. Maybe that's what they were aiming for. Like, okay, we're gonna get all this Indiana Jones fans that already have families, and we're gonna make a family-friendly version of that so that the kids start getting into it.
But even movies that are for kids, like Star Wars, like they also have violence. They have like Obi-Wan just rips a guy's arm off with his lightsaber, and there's blood and everything, and people die all the time.
Yeah.
Like Luke Skywalker kills like a bunch of stormtroopers, and
I mean, to be fair, the ants are kind of gross and disturbing.
but they're like CG ants, and it's also like an indirect death. Like it's not like Indiana Jones kills the guy; he just kind of punches him, and he falls into a lot of ants, and then he just gives up and dies. He doesn't even try to shake them off.
Yeah.
Well, and also that fight scene. Indiana Jones always has a fight scene with a cool, big, muscular dude. That's like a staple of the series. He has to fight somebody who's stronger than him, and he always gets his ass kicked. Like he's always being punched and kicked. In the first movie, there's a scene where he fights a big German guy. He's trying to get into a plane, and the German guy is like, "Hey, come on, Jung, camp." And the guy's like, "Oh, he's really tired." He's like, "Oh no, please, I can't do this." And then he's like, "Shit, okay, I have to fight this guy." And he punches him, and like nothing happens. The guy's like, he doesn't move. And then, of course, the guy starts like punching him and kicking him. And so he resorts to all these like dirty tricks. He like throws sand to the guy's face. He bites him. He like runs around, and it's like this Indiana Jones fight was like really just a bunch of punches, and then he just wins.
Yeah.
He just beats this guy who's like 20 years younger than him. How did he do it? I don't know. The plot, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was surprised how like also kind of goofy it gets at times.
Gets
Like
really
like with
goofy.
the
Like a cartoon fight.
Yeah, like no, like even the moments like when they're in the sand,
In
like
the
they're sinking in
quicksand,
the
yeah.
sand, and suddenly they're like bickering about the fact that it's his son, and then he's like, "Oh no, not a snake," and I was like, "Okay,
And
you're
yeah,
Indiana Jones."
But this is the thing. Yeah, that they try to make a joke with the fear of snakes because he's always been afraid of snakes. That's like a character trope. In the first movie, he has to go into a tomb, and of course, the tomb is like filled with snakes, and he's like, "Oh my god!" But even in that movie, he kind of gets over his fear at one point. And yeah, now they try to make this stupid joke of like grab the rope,
Which I think is really, I don't know, it's really stupid to find a snake and use
It's
it as
ridiculous.
a rope.
Yeah.
that whole scene is
It's
ridiculous.
really stupid. Yeah.
We will talk about it.
Yeah.
It's one of the most stupid things ever made, and I hate it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And the last thing I wrote is, the movie looks too clean, and there's an overuse of CG.
Definitely.
That's one of my notes. I don't like how this movie looks.
No.
The colors, it looks so fake. No, I don't. It's like a different also color palette because with the videos that you sent us, like you can see this kind of like sand color grading, and in this is like all these colors are overly saturated.
Yeah.
and it looks like something
It
different.
looks like also so clean. Like all the clothes of the character, like completely. It's
Yeah.
like they just bought them. And Indiana Jones is a movie about adventure. And I don't know, the first movie, like you said, they're in the desert, and it's like everything's like with sand, like gritty, and he's like all sweaty, and like his clothes are gross and like broken, and he's like bloody, and like. It doesn't look realistic or believable when these characters are all like came out of the the makeup room.
Yeah.
The sets, even though they're very well made, they kind of look fake. They look like a set.
I didn't like the production design very much, or the costumes, or that the art department. I think it's not that it's bad crafted. It's just that
It's
just
good
it
for like a
doesn't-
Disney movie, but not for an
Exactly.
Indiana Jones
Yeah.
hardcore
Exactly.
adventure,
Yeah,
Russian
yeah.
punching movie.
Yeah. And I wrote down like bad CGI, like the effects
And the
are not
CGI,
good.
the unnecessary CGI, like this stupid little gopher, I think it's called, this
Oh
animal,
yeah.
the prairie dog. I don't know
What
what
would
it's
you need
called.
that for?
I don't know. And why don't you get a real animal and shoot him like,
Yeah.
or just don't do it. And
Yeah.
the stupid monkeys, stupid ants, the fake scenery.
Yeah.
they're-
The sword fight, like when they're racing through the jungle, looks so bad.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't look like they're really standing on those.
I mean,
cars.
the jungle when they're supposed to be in Peru, it looks really fake. It looks like a set.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. See, those are plastic plants. It's very obvious.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not-
and like the first movies they did, it really went to some desert, and I think Steven Spielberg was much more like hardcore back then, and he just went there, and they were like sweating, and there was mosquitoes or whatever, and like
Yeah.
they were like guerrilla style shooting, and it really shows like the movie looks like that. They really the characters look tired, and they look like they're really sweating, and it just fits the tone more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
It
makes it
looks
look
like
more mature, not so
Yeah.
like kid friendly and clean. I don't know,
So
like
kind of
cleansed.
rougher and
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, those are my main reasons.
Nice. Really good
Okay.
reasons. Really good
Okay.
reasons.
cool.
It sucks. Don't watch it.
Bottom line, it sucks. But I guess we can talk about it a little
It
bit.
had some good moments though. I
Yeah,
have to
no,
admit.
like I really like the introduction of his character when the first time that we see him in the movie, which is like through a shadow, like on the car, I think, and you first see the hat, and then you see his shadow putting on the hat. I think that was quite cool. And then with the videos that you sent me, sent us, like they show that that's how they introduced the character in the first one. It's like he's in the shadows. So I thought that was like quite cool that they kept that same style of here comes Indi. So I think that was quite smart.
Yeah, and also like you see that this movie was made by the same people, and I think some things they really got right, but some other things they kind of, maybe because they're older or they haven't done anything with this character in a while, they kind of blew it. But some things do work, and as we go to the plot, we will talk about these things.
Yep.
Cool. So I guess let's get in there.
Let's jump right into it.
Yep.
Yes, so the movie starts with a weird animal coming out of his like burrow. This weird like prairie dog, and the first time I saw it I thought I was in the wrong movie. And I walked into the theater and I was like, oh, what movie is this? Is this like Alvin and the Chipmunks or something? And then there's this Russian, first you see these American like military cars going through the highway, and you're like, oh, okay. But then you see that the guys inside of the car, no, you don't know this until later, right?
Yeah, because they get to the checkpoint and then
they do like a weird race with some cool teenagers from the 50s, rock and roll, and then they run.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then then they turn into this base, which I think is Area 51 or something.
I think they play into that it is Area 51, but like if you read like the synopsis, they say they call it a hangar 51. Hangar 51. It's like okay,
Area 51. Yeah. And then these military guys come out of the car. And then the guys in the base are like, this is forbidden, you can't enter. But then the guy like crouches to tie his shoes, and then like
all these other soldiers.
They suddenly kill all the guards in the base, and they enter. And then you realize that these guys are Russian. They're like not American. And as they enter the base, they park the car and they pull somebody out of the trunk of the car. They throw him in the floor. At first they throw a hat, which is really like, I recognize that hat. And then they pull, some old guy out of the trunk of the car. You're like, wait a minute.
And you realize, oh my God.
Oh my God. Then he stands up, and in the shadow, you realize, this is Indi. He's back. But then as he turns around, you see Harrison Ford, and he's just old. And he looks like a confused old man. And he's like, Russians. And he also has his friend. His friend that never appeared in any of the other movies. I think Mac. Mac something. And then we are introduced to the bad girl, bad guy, bad girl of the movie, which is like Colonel Irina something. Spalko. Yeah. And then what happens? She
speaks in a very offensive Russian accent.
I mean,
we both looked at each other when when they all started talking. I was like,
I have met some Russian people, and some of them do speak like that. Especially probably in the 50s, people didn't speak English as well.
That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking because my note is okay, why the accent? But
because you're Russian.
No, but I guess because I thought, why didn't they cast like a Russian actress or something like that? But then I thought, this movie plays in the 50s. Probably there weren't a lot of. My rationing behind that thought is, okay, why didn't they hire a Russian actress that didn't have an accent while speaking English, or not such a caricature accent? But then I thought it's in the 50s, probably not a lot of Russian people spoke that good of English. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I guess she's a scientist. I was going to say spies wouldn't have an accent, but I guess she's not a spy. She's a scientist.
But she needs to have an accent, because how else are we gonna know that she's Russian?
I think that it's like a very I guess it's what you say. This is not supposed to be a progressive film. I think it's supposed to play into a lot of these stereotypes.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's just kind of a caricature.
It's weird, and it makes the acting not really livable.
It feels like caricaturesque. I guess.
We will do it. What is the expression? old-fashioned way. I
It's like, okay.
so bad.
Oh, I hate when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're basically, you
How do you
recognize
see?
building? And he's like, no, I've never been in this warehouse in my life. And then she's like, yes, you were here in the something.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, you were part of an expedition that something. Yeah. And he's like, I've never seen this warehouse in my life. But then she basically, I think she threatens to kill him. He's like, you will help us find the thing we're looking for.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
he has no choice, basically. And then we know that he actually does know what these Russians are looking for. And he comes up with this, how does he figures out that the thing is magnetic, the thing the Russians are looking for.
Yeah, and then, well, this is something I looked this up this morning, like, because he uses gunpowder initially,
Give me some shotgun shells.
but apparently gunpowder isn't magnetic.
Aha!
So
But neither
that's
is
a
gold.
fail.
No, because he says in one scene something about the thing. They do mention it in the other scene, but he also says that gold also isn't magnetic, and these gold coins, I think, are being attracted to this thing.
But they're talking
Okay.
about the skull there, what in that, because that conversation they have in the tomb with the mummies, and yeah, that he says, but crystals are magnetic,
Right,
and
right.
then
Yeah,
Neither
they
is
never
gold.
answer that question.
yeah. It's like it says it on the script, Indi, so play along.
And it's also the magnetism works in weird ways. Sometimes
Yeah.
it works,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the question we have at the beginning, because it's like a body that they find, right? So, but it never actually leads to anything.
no.
So,
Yeah.
what was that
Uh,
about?
I think that body also has a skull, but it's like a different alien. The Russian girl, Irina Spankov, no, Spalkov,
Spalkov.
she says
Spanko.
That's the sex that you want.
That's the porn version. That's the porn
Yeah.
parody. My name is Irina Spanko.
she basically says this other specimen something, and then she says like distant cousin maybe.
Is that what I wasn't
yeah,
listening?
Yeah, no, it's
What?
very confusing.
Yeah.
What did she
She
say?
refers to this other alien they find in the warehouse later in the film
Yeah.
when they're trying to make Indiana Jones find out where the Akator is.
Yeah.
She says like this maybe a distant cousin of the other alien.
So okay.
So there's more than one alien.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Now
boy.
it gets difficult to
Ah,
understand.
Jesus.
Well, but basically
But
Indiana
anyway.
Jones is like, okay, I'll help you find it.
Yeah.
Give me some gunpowder. And then he throws it in the air. Oh, and it follows the direction of this
Yeah.
thing. It's because he's very smart. And
then he needs bullets at the end.
yeah, he has for shotgun shells. He climbs on top of the boxes, showing that Harrison Ford can still at least climb a few boxes at his age. And yes, they find this box in this warehouse, which I think is the same warehouse at the end of the first movie where they put the ark.
Yeah, I told Hazel there's like a shot where you can see the arc.
Oh, right. You can see like the
Yeah.
corner. Yeah.
Yeah, you explained that to me.
And then they take this box out, and yeah, they don't really show what's in the box, but you can see like some kind of alien-looking hand. And as they are like kind of looking at this thing, Indiana Jones starts planning his escape. But then, how does he get away of the situation?
So they have a standoff, like him, he fights one of the soldiers, I think, and gets a gun.
Yeah. He does in the end punch this guy, but he takes his
His
whip.
gun, and
which-
then Mac gets a gun somehow, but then he turns it on
Because
Indy.
Indiana Jones uses his whip to
Yes.
take a gun,
Yes,
and then he
yes.
gives it to Mac. And they're like, drop the gun!
Yeah.
Or Colonel Dr. Spalko is dead. And then she... then Mac betrays
turns on him, yeah.
Indiana Jones. He's like,
And
why,
he's
Mac?
like,
I thought we were friends.
money. I'm
That's
working.
like-
I'm working with the communists because money.
I'm a capitalist, and they pay. And Indiana Jones is like, after all these years we spent spying on the Reds, I thought we were friends, Mac. He's like, who is this guy? Like,
Yeah.
he's not a character in the movies, and they talk about
okay.
all these things they did when they were younger, and they're like supposed to be really good friends, and just don't feel that they're friends. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you hardly get to meet Mac in
Yeah.
that time.
And also,
do you?
Indiana Jones would never say something like that. Like, I thought we were friends. That's-
See, like I would have found it more interesting if Mac had been along for the ride the whole time, and then only at the end turned out to be like a double agent.
Yeah.
yeah, that
And then
whole
it would
double agent
actually
thing.
would have had some meaning then.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, Indiana Jones is a character that's very hard to fool in at least the original character. Like, he wouldn't fall for these kind of things. He would always have distrusted this character. Like, and saying something like, I thought we were friends. I don't know if that's something that he would say to this guy. Maybe he would say to some other character in the previous movies, like a real friend of his. I don't know. It's just this guy doesn't feel like. Just that whole thing doesn't feel right. I feel like Indiana Jones is very stupid in these films. Like, he gets tricked all the time, and he's like pathetic.
The dementia setting in.
Yeah, basically. But then Indiana Jones escapes because, of course, he always escapes, and by throwing his gun in the floor.
Yeah.
He's like, drop down gun, and he's like, you got it, pal. And the gun like shoots, as he hits the floor, it shoots the guy in the foot. I don't know if that makes sense. I always wondered as a kid, what happens? Like, do guns really shoot by themselves? Because they always tell you, like, I don't know, never, like, when you're careful around guns and stuff, because they may just shoot themselves.
I guess maybe if it hits in a way that it triggers.
Yeah, I think it can happen.
Maybe
But
with a
I'm no
50s
expert.
with a 50s made gun. I think today it would be impossible. I think guns are very safe. Like-
Are they?
Are they though?
And he escapes, and that scene is pretty cool. I think he climbs on top of the boxes. They shoot at him with machine guns. He jumps. He uses his whip to swing from a lamp. And as he's about to reach the truck, the whip is not long enough, I think, or something. And then he swings back and
Into a
crashes into a
car.
truck. And that's fun. I enjoyed that. It's a twist on the whole whip swinging thing that always works in the movies. Now that didn't work, and it just makes me laugh.
Okay.
And
And then at some point they get to like this is one of the notes that I wrote down. Like him and another soldier fight, and they're in this control room, and then he throws the guy onto the control panel, and suddenly this 30-second timer starts.
yeah,
That's
that's a bit. I don't know if that's how these control panels work. And I
It's
think-
like, oh, do we have everything on the control panel? What about the 30-second launch button? No.
yeah, it's kind of cartoony and stupid. And they basically fall into this. He's fighting the big Russian guy, and they fall into this underground.
This like
thing.
rocket-powered
Yeah, it's like a sled train
thing.
thingy.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones is choking on a chain. The guy like hangs him from one of the chains of the warehouse, and he's like dying. And he manages to get off just as the sled thing ignites. They basically speed away in this thing at incredible speeds, and he escapes the warehouse.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that whole like CG sled thingy just looks bad. He does kill a few people in this scene by accidentally burning them to death.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, they're standing behind the rocket. So
Okay,
they
but
get...
it's not. Yeah, but he doesn't do it intentionally. Okay, but at least somebody.
At
died.
least he killed a bunch of Russians.
Yeah. Okay. And then we get to a really bad scene in the movie.
Man.
Well, I mean, it's really stupid. Basically, he wakes up. He's like in miles away from the warehouse they were before. The Russian guy is unconscious. He's like, okay, now I need to escape. And he walks off up a cliff, and he sees like a town in the distance, a small town. He's like, I can go there and like call like I don't know, the police or something.
Yeah.
But as he enters this town, he sneaks into one of the houses, and because the Russians are looking for him, he sees that all the people in the house are like mannequins.
Yeah.
And like nothing is real. Like it's a kind of like a fake set. And he's like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" And he goes out, and he hears this like alarm, and he sees the Russians escaping. So he's like, "Oh, that can't be good." And then we see like this is like a test
site.
It's like a test site for nuclear weapons, basically. In this, I don't know, this town. Why does it have like TV? Why?
I know.
Why
that's
did they
what we
put so
saw.
much
Many
effort?
things. Why is it so elaborate? You just
Yeah,
need
but-
the outside and a couple of mannequins. You just need the exterior of the houses. You don't need a family sitting inside on the
No,
couch
it's ridiculous.
with a foot and like the fridge that he climbs into is full of food. I think.
Yeah, because he takes this,
it's
the thing
stupid.
out.
It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
Oh man, the
Why?
TV's running for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's why. Why does it affect? Like, why would it make the test more effective if you have all these things?
No.
It's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the only important thing if you're testing a bomb, I have tested my fair share of bombs, and I always just care: is the building gonna collapse or not? That's the only thing I care about. I
Yeah.
don't care about the
yeah.
the
What happens to
fruits.
the people and what happens to the buildings?
But wait, what happens to the fruits and veggies in the?
Do they also
That's
get?
true. That's true.
Yeah.
So stupid. But okay, fine, whatever. It's a movie, and then he's like, I'm gonna die basically, and I think all the audience also thinks like he's dead. Like there's no way he can escape from this. I mean, he has escaped from many death-defying situations, but this is like impossible. Like how? When I saw the movie, I thought like, okay, this is the end of the movie, like, or something.
All these years of waiting.
That was a short
And
movie.
he was just like, yeah, he dies in a nuclear bomb. End of story.
I guess there was something in
In
there
a
I just
fridge.
couldn't escape from. But no, he's like, oh my god, I got like 10 seconds. And he runs in the kitchen, looks around, he sees a refrigerator,
Yeah.
which is like lead lined or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. That's something that.
Well, it's like lead's supposed to sort of be some sort of protective against nuclear radiation.
Okay,
But
nuclear
I mean,
radiation, I
yeah.
understand. But not a fucking like
a bomb.
shock with like an explosion. Like oh my god. And yeah, he gets into the
Oh.
fridge and he just manages to close it as it's about to explode. He can't even close the door because it's like an orange.
Yeah.
And he like pushes the orange and just as he closes the fridge, like the whole town like explodes. Like it just completely like evaporates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he like of everything but the refrigerator completely like disappears.
I know, it's like one of the only few things that kind of get shot into the distance.
Exactly.
That sort of manages
Even
to
the
go
Russians in the
unscathed.
car are like, oh,
yeah.
and they die.
Yeah.
And the thing is, okay, fine, maybe this was a really, really good refrigerator. But then he would have the thing flies away like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have surely killed him. At like
Like,
the head
even without the
trauma.
explosion. Yeah, like the thing comes flying like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's 1 kilometer and then it bounces like 5 times in the
Oof.
floor. And he spins around and
Yeah.
and then like 1 second later the door opens and he comes out like, wow, oh my god,
Perfectly
that was
unharmed.
close. And he's not even like injured. He should have all his bones broken.
Oh boy.
breaking.
So like two things with this. One, I also think it's kind of dangerous to get into a fridge because there's a danger of not being able to get out and
Yeah.
suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
And two,
Not good example for the children.
Yep. And I know, great for a kids movie. And second, it's like even if he did survive that, he would have died from radiation sickness from the fallout within a few days.
He would have had
so-
like a horrible mutation, or he would have had cancer like
Yeah.
next day.
Maybe that's how he dies in the next one.
He's dying of cancer from the
Yeah.
nuclear
Exactly.
fallout.
But it's like what I said to Hazel this morning when we were going through this issue. It's like, okay, of all the things, all the elements, all the unbelievable elements of this film, the fridge thing is not the main
No.
problem for me. I get it. Okay, obviously you wouldn't have survived like an atomic explosion in that thing, and of course, like you would have been fucked up.
But I mean, we haven't been in an atomic explosion.
So
What
how
do
would we know?
Exactly, but that's what I mean. I think like a lot of people made a huge thing about this refrigerator
But
thing.
it's not the worst thing.
And it's like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
you have they're explaining this indigenous culture through aliens.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the biggest problem that you can have with this film, not the refrigerator.
Oh boy.
No,
Yeah.
and the waterfalls and the monkeys.
Yeah, I asked that myself that the monkeys. I asked myself the same question with the waterfalls. Like 3 unbelievably like tall waterfalls that they fall down, and they're
Like-
all just fine. Never
like-
fall out of the boat.
Yeah.
Like in the second movie, Indiana Jones falls out of a plane. Like basically, there's like they are tricked. They get into a plane, and actually the pilot of the plane are like bad guys. So they suddenly jump out of the plane in the middle of the Himalayas or something. And he's left there in the plane, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And the plane has no fuel, and they're basically gonna die. So he comes up with another crazy explanation. There's like a raft in the plane, and he and the other characters just bump the raft up, and they jump out of the plane, and it kind of works as a parachute. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. But in the movie, as the way it's shown, the way it's like told, it kind of okay. Maybe they leave it because they're falling in the snow. Okay, they think kind of maybe it worked as some kind of parachute. Actually, the Mythbusters did an episode on that.
Okay.
And it does kind of work in some scenarios. In some, you
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
modify the raft a bit. So it's not that implausible. But
Okay.
like,
I guess like the main issue is that it's like the atomic bomb is something that is supposed to kill everything around.
Oh yeah, that's
So
the point of it.
it's like okay, so why would they even invest on a lead lining refrigerator for the test side also?
Yeah.
Like you would have bought if you really wanted to have a refrigerator on the side. You
Why
would
is
have
there
bought
any
another.
furniture?
Exactly. I guess that for me that's the thing that doesn't make sense. That
They had like
have
money
all
left
this-
over from the government, so they thought we'll splurge on the furniture.
That's for
This
me
is
like,
tax deductible.
Exactly.
maybe the guy who designed the houses was really into it. He was a perfectionist.
Yeah, and
He
they
was
would
like,
like.
no, wait, I'm not finished. I
I'm
need
not
to
finished. I still need to.
connect
Yeah.
cable TV.
yeah. But well, so then after that,
How did they even have TV signal out there in the middle of the desert?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Man.
Yeah.
Aliens did it.
Aliens, yeah. But well, then he gets.
So then he
saved.
just gets picked up.
Yeah.
This is like several times in the film where I'm kind of like, wait, how did he get from this location to the next location? He just seems to, I don't know,
No,
pop
yeah.
up somewhere.
Somehow this, like, I think it's CIA, FBI,
I think it's
Yeah.
FBI, yeah.
FBI are like
then they
questioning
interrogate
him
him.
because he helped the Russians with this thing, finding this warehouse box, and they're
Yeah.
like,
But
why
like the
would-
whole FBI thing doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
no, he's just
Because
forgiven.
yeah, like he just gets interrogated and then he gets fired
Hmm.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And that goes nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
they kind of didn't bother to continue the case against Henry Jones Jr.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets interrogated by the FBI. They think he's a communist, but then some guy comes, another character we've never seen, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know how many medals this son of a bitch has gotten or something, and,
How many
and,
times is one?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, they basically leave him, let him go.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know later, he's like teaching a class in the university, and the dean comes in. The dean who's not Marcus Brody, the character, famous character from Indiana Jones, which is actually his like best friend. But I think the actor died,
Ah, okay.
so they kind of replaced him with this guy who's kind of the same character, but it's different.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't make another character. I don't know,
Ah, okay,
like
okay.
a
Yeah.
different type of character because.
Yeah. You could have said the character died in the film
It
and
would
that
have
he
been-
was.
No, they do show a statue of him. Like it is implied that he died, but I feel like the scene would have been much more powerful if the character was Marcus. So it should have just gone with a different type of. They clearly were trying to recreate this relationship with this character, and it just doesn't work because it's not him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I mean, the actor is good, and you understand they're friends, whatever.
Yeah.
And he basically says that the KGB,
No, the
The
FBI.
FBI
the
came
FBI
in
came,
and-
ransacked your office, and,
Yeah.
and basically you're fired. And then he
Well, then he's
has to
he's
leave
gonna
the
go.
country.
That's the thing, like,
Yeah.
isn't he going somewhere? And that's when Shia LaBeouf catches up with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, he basically gonna lay low. I think he has to go to like Leipzig or something. And
Oh, he said something about Leipzig. Didn't he?
yeah. And he's like, yeah, because he's like, where are you gonna go? I don't know. Maybe go to
Leipzig,
Leipzig
oh.
or something. Whatever.
Because is that where you go? Where you want
When
to
you want to lay low, apparently,
No.
no one dares dare to look for people in Leipzig.
Leipzig.
No, that's a good place to hide. And Then as he rides the train, he's stopped by this Shia LaBeouf-looking character.
Yeah, like one of my notes is, did we really need to have Shia LaBeouf riding a motorcycle next to the train? It's like, it's so necessary. I mean, maybe,
I guess it introduces it for the
it's a
later
good
chase scene,
introduction.
doesn't it?
No,
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be like a greaser in a bike.
yeah, exactly. But we could have gotten that in a different way. I mean, it's not the biggest problem of the film. It's just that it feels like, oh, we're gonna introduce Shia LaBeouf with but.
I just think it's just I can't stop seeing the Transformers kid in this movie. Like I
Yeah.
just don't see a character. I see Shia LaBeouf. Like
Yeah.
it just bothers me. Why didn't they pick another actor? I don't know
Yeah,
what they
well,
were thinking.
There you go.
Well, then he takes the, hey, do you know Dr.
Oxley.
Well, he's
They're
been
gonna kill him.
kidnapped. And then
Yeah.
they go
So they go to like a cafe or a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk about it. And yeah, so Oxley's, I didn't quite understand this the first time around, but like Oxley's been kidnapped, this old friend of his,
Mhm.
and Shia LaBeouf's mother,
Mm-hmm.
but she sent somehow a note that Oxley wrote in a weird language, or in Mayan
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And then the KGB is after them, so there's a whole chase scene, which was kind of
The
good.
that chase scene, I was just gonna talk about it. That's the best action scene in the movie. I think that's the one the only one that I think is like classic Indiana Jones action.
Yeah.
It's like
that's
fun.
true, yeah.
It's exciting, it's fun, and yeah, it's it's funny, like, but not so funny that it becomes ridiculous. Like there's this part where he's riding in the back of the bike. They're being chased by these Russian bad guys, and they start like fighting with one of them through the window, and then the guy grabs him and pulls him inside the car.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting inside the car. Then he gets out of the other window and into the motorcycle. That's pretty cool, and it's believable. Like it's not. Yeah, I would imagine that's something he could do. Like it's not that fake. Like he's just kind of fighting one guy. Like in he manages to get out of it in a cool way.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't do anything like completely like ridiculous, or he's not like overly strong or something. Yeah, and it's a pity because the next action scenes are like kind of overblown and like ridiculous and full of like gadgets and explosions, and like you just need things like this, like small,
practical,
well directed, well shot, well choreographed action.
Yeah.
With character like development or something put into it.
Yeah, and then they manage to escape
Mm-hmm.
and get back to Indiana Jones's place, and this is where he works.
They do a
stuff
lot
out
of
and-
exposition. He reads a bunch of books. He finds out that this language means, I don't know. Basically, after a lot of like research, they find that what do they find? It's like the skull is located in some tomb.
This is where it gets a bit because they go to Peru, and then they go to like the cell where Oxley was kept.
Yeah.
But how did they know he'd been kept
And that's
there?
a weird way. That's a weird scene. I don't. It always bothers me. They enter the cell.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my god! Like you see that the guy clearly like went insane because like the whole walls are like with writing and stuff.
Yeah.
But then Matt Williams, like Shia LaBeouf, is crying.
Like he gets really emotional.
Yeah. I also
And I
thought,
also was like, wait,
It's
so
out of
does he know
character.
him?
Yeah, he does know him. Basically, the
Yeah.
guy was like kind of like a father figure or something. Like you know that he's a very important person to him, but it's out of character because this guy is
Yeah.
supposed to be like
A
trying
greaser,
always
yeah.
to be tough. He's like he doesn't want to show emotion. He wants to be cool. He wants to be tough. And they should have maybe he can of course because this scene is supposed to serve as like a way of telling you this guy, even though he acts cool, he does have feelings. He does like get sad and suffer for his friend and stuff. But it's just too exaggerated. Like he's just completely like crying, and
Yeah.
I think this character would have just gone somewhere else to cry, or would have like covered his face, or like
or it would have been not so big because I also noticed that like it's like all like his eyes get all watery. It's like
Yeah.
okay, dude.
Okay.
it's like wow, what a
Take it
girl.
easy.
Do you
Yeah.
have like are you okay? Like
Yeah.
and it's kind of like an out of character moment.
Yeah. So, but then they somehow again lost on me, but somehow they work out from the drawings where the crystal skull is.
He
I mean, like on
swipes the floor with a broom.
Yeah.
He noticed that the wall has the word return
Yeah.
written, and then he uncovers something on the floor that I don't remember because it was boring.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
I don't know.
But I guess it was a map to the tombs where the crystal is buried.
Basically, some clue about the skull is located in some tomb thing in Peru, and I think now we also learned that Mac has been following Indiana Jones. Like he's in Peru also, like talking to the Russians. I think there's a scene when they show him like
Okay.
in the background, like, haha, I'm still in this
yeah,
movie.
when he's entering the sanatorio, the asylum.
Yeah.
There's like a shot of him, like, oh, look at him. There's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly like that. He
Exactly
says
like that.
exactly.
That's the dialogue.
And then they go to this tomb, and it's like, okay, now it's gonna get exciting. You know, this is what I came for in this movie, to see some tomb raiding action. And the set looks kind of cool. I mean, it's a bit fake-ish, but yeah, it looks like dark and gritty, and it's like this weird like catacombs or something. And then as they're going to dig a hole, they're suddenly attacked by these weird Peruvians.
Apologies to all our Peruvian listeners.
They're like ninjas or something. It's
Yeah,
like,
there's only like 2 of them, isn't there?
yeah, there's like 2
and
weirdos
it's like,
in a cemetery.
so are they...
Who are these people?
Exactly. I was like, so wait, are they kind of like they're protecting the tomb, but there's only 2 of them, and then they're gone?
And they do like kung fu.
Yeah.
So yeah, they start
It's
beating the
really
shit
weird.
out of Mac, out of Matt, Shia LaBeouf, while Indiana Jones is like doing something else. I think. And then he manages to get rid of one of them,
Yeah.
and then they're like, okay, now we're fine. But then suddenly one guy jumps with a blow gun, and he's about to kill Matt.
Yeah.
And then Indiana Jones jumps in front of him and like
Shoots
the thing back at him. I don't even know if that's how these things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the poison should only be in one side,
Yeah, that's...
because how are you gonna pick it up?
Although I guess still getting like a thing in the back of your throat still probably is not
Yeah, that's true. That is
not
true.
great.
But yeah, that's I think the only guy that Indiana Jones kind of directly kills in this movie. And
It should have been more.
should be more death, more murder. Murder is heroic in movies.
Oh, so they
I
go.
want my heroes to kill more. And then
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they go into the tomb now. And then there's this weird moment where like Shia LaBeouf gets stung by a scorpion and Indiana's like,
no, he
no
asked him like,
consequence.
why?
Am I gonna die?
Was it big? Huge, he
Huge.
says.
Good.
Ah,
Good.
good. When it comes to scorpion, the bigger the better. And he's like,
like-
That's
"Oh."
always
I'm
been
sure
my
it-
motto. I'm kidding.
I'm sure that it's still bad though.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, he gets bitten by the scorpion and nothing comes out of
Nothing
that
happens.
thing.
No, it's just a kind of
Like
gag.
they suddenly because it's not even just the one. It's like loads of them suddenly start
Yeah.
crawling on him, and he's like and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably a CG scorpion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course,
Probably.
yeah. I'm
Like,
guessing
there's-
they wouldn't gonna risk Shia LaBeouf's life. So.
But you know, in the second movie, there's a scene where one character, the girl in that movie, she has to save Indiana Jones. There's a trap that's gonna crash him to death with the other kid. He has a Chinese kid, sidekick in this movie, and they're like, "Come on, hurry up! Like we're dying." And the girl is like, because he has to go through a hallway that's full of like bugs. It's like completely crawling with bugs, but they're real. Like they're like huge. And it's horrible because you know that these are real bugs and they crawl into the actor's body. And
God.
she's like, like going inside of it. And she has to get his hands into a creepy, disgusting hole full of bugs. And it's creepy, but it doesn't work in this movie because you know that these insects and creatures are not real.
Yeah.
And all Indiana Jones movies have these like creepy crawlies. The first movie, there's some spiders crawling to a guy's back, like really big spiders, and a lot of snakes. There's the floor is full of snakes at one point. The second movie has these disgusting bugs, and the third movie has a lot of rats. There's like a scene full of rats, like in a sewer. And this movie just has like CG insects, and they don't feel as disgusting. And it's just meaningless. Okay, a scorpion, I don't care. Like, if it was real scorpions, you would be like, oh shit, like, are those real? Like, oh my god, ooh, like, and that creates excitement. but
Yeah.
it just doesn't work here.
Yeah.
And then they explore this cave that has no traps, has nothing
Yeah.
interesting,
I expect something to happen.
something to close, some door to trap them, and then they have to escape,
Yeah.
and he has to use his super awesome Indiana Jones skills. But no, he just kind of finds a thing that moves up and down, and he just goes through it.
And
No
that's it.
danger.
Yeah.
Then they enter the cave. They find like 6, 7 corpses
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. And in one of the things, they find a dead conquistador that. Where do they find the skull? Do they find them here?
Yeah.
So like they unwrap one of them, and then they find another one that's already been unwrapped.
Right.
And then
right.
like some coins get tracted, so they realize it's behind him.
Mhm.
Also, like, was there gonna be like who wrapped up the conquistadors?
I guess the Incas probably like the
This
the
weird
one-
made-up civilization.
No.
But it's like Akator. Akator doesn't
You
make
know,
that's
one
true,
of these
that's
civilizations that was obviously supported by aliens. You know,
Yeah,
because
Indiana
they were
Jones.
too primitive to
Yeah,
do it
to do
themselves.
Yeah, no, I always assumed that it was like the natives of
Okay,
that
okay.
Yeah.
place.
It's the Akatorians. or
Okay, because
whatever.
I didn't know if they had found the city and then the aliens did it.
No, the aliens don't do their dirty work.
They
They
get
always
the
ask the indigenous people to do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they find the skull there, and then they come out, and then they're caught by the Soviets and Mac.
Because Mac was following them around.
That damn traitor.
Yeah.
The damn bad character.
Yeah.
And then they are taken to the Amazon jungle, where they have a tent where they basically are trying to research this skull, and they're doing like human trials on this thing. And I think they tried with Oxley first, and he couldn't handle like the skull's power. So now they want Indiana Jones for some reason. Maybe he's more. Because the skull.
'Cause she
the
just
skull
say-
doesn't talk to everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say she says,
yeah.
"Oh, it doesn't speak to everyone."
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So they're like, maybe he will speak to the main protagonist of this movie. And then
What a coincidence!
yeah, he finds Oxley is in this camp, and he's like a raving madman, just dancing around and saying nonsense and looking like a crazy person. And he's like, Oxley, it's me. It's Henry Jones Jr. But he doesn't recognize him because this character he hates his name, like he calls himself Indiana Jones. But his real name is Henry Jones Jr., which is his father's name.
Yeah.
And he never calls himself that. So this is a moment where he kind of... he thinks maybe this will refresh his memory, and he says it like unwillingly, but it doesn't work. And then they basically tell Indiana Jones like, you have to stare into this skull, and it will tell you
how to communicate with Oxley. I think was the logic behind that, because they can't work out how to get through to him.
Right.
To lead them to the city.
And he says to Mac, once I get out of this chair, I'm gonna break your nose. And then they strap him to the thing, make them look into the skull, and then we don't see what he sees, but his brain activity they're monitoring with some kind of machine. You see that he's going crazy. And after that he gets some plot information.
Some kind of insight to move the plot along.
And now suddenly he can kind of speak to John Hurt, who says like, Henry Jones Jr. And then we know that they can kind of talk.
Yeah, and then he's drawing things in the air. So he gets a notepad, and he's also then they meet up with Marion.
Yeah, Marion appears in the movie.
This Marion.
Oh my god, no, because he says Mary in the beginning. He thinks he says
Mary.
Mary.
Okay.
I'm not a how do you say? I've known a lot of Marys.
Yeah, there were a lot of Marys kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically he's like, Marion is here, and of course he's like, oh hi Marion, and then she's like in the first movie she slaps him in the face, like at the beginning when they first meet, and now she's like kind of ignoring him, like Indiana Jones, like, and then she goes to his kid.
Yeah.
And then they have like a small discussion. No, this that later.
I think that's later. Yeah, because then they do the thing with the paper, and then Indiana Jones is just like, oh yes, these symbols mean so and so, and this means so and you just have to go along with it, I guess. And then get me a map, and then Shia LaBeouf.
This is a part that I don't understand. Okay, so basically Indiana Jones at this point has kind of accepted that he has to help the Russians, or basically they're gonna kill them all.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and that's smart. It's like because he has, I think, done some similar things before, where he kind of has to team up with the bad guys in order to save his life, basically. And he's like, sure, whatever, let's find this thing, and then maybe later he will come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. But then they're like, okay, looking at some maps and stuff, trying to find where the next plot point is. And now suddenly Shia LaBeouf's character starts like punching people and like escaping. He's like, go on, let's go. And okay, they kind of agree, like, what are we doing? Like, they escape into the jungle. Mm-hmm. But where?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are they gonna go? They're in the middle of the jungle.
And then they get stuck in quicksand. So
Then
then they're like, go and get help. And then they're like, you got help from the Russians. And it's like, who else are they going to get help from?
They're in the middle of the jungle. There's nobody. Like, oh my god, yeah. They're like.
And then they just start bickering because she tells him, Mutt's your son. And they just start bickering with one another. And it just suddenly turns into this really goofy scene.
Such a bad set.
It's like, you're about to die.
It's just a bad quicksand set. It doesn't look like real quicksand. They're basically like, it's like a cartoon. They're like, sinking into quicksand. Like, oh my god. And basically they start, having an argument.
I think that's when
you're going to tell him to go back to school, is what he says.
Exactly. And then Shia LaBeouf comes and rescues Marion, and they're like, "Come on, no, old man, grab the snake, no,
grab it, grab the rope, call it a rope, and then I'll,
and then they get out of
snake. That poor snake. They kind of pull it.
That's what I said. That's animal abuse of the poor snake.
I mean, it's probably not a real snake.
I know, but if it was, like, and who thinks, I'm gonna get a snake?
Nobody. That's ridiculous.
That's the thing. I think that is more ridiculous than the refrigerator bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like an anaconda. Like, it's like a fucking dangerous animal.
But anyway, so they get captured again, and then they're in the back of the truck, and then they have another argument about why she never told him that he had a son. And
this is so ridiculous because they're basically having like a big argument.
Yeah.
Like this is the moment where they kind of have the worst fight. They're like, why didn't you tell me he was my son? And she's like, like you escaped the day before the wedding, and like you were an asshole or something. And he's like, why are you bothering to tell me now? Yeah, and it's just like, because I thought we were gonna die. He's like, not yet. And he punches the Russian dude.
Yeah,
Then there's a weird scene where after fighting this guy, they're like, okay, how do we escape now? And Shia LaBeouf takes like a knife out of his boot.
Yeah.
And he hands it to Indiana Jones. He kicks it to him. They have their hands tied behind their backs. Mm-hmm. Kind of slits it behind his back. And then somehow the knife like comes out, and it sounds like a cloth ripping sound effect. And it looks like
this
worrying.
moment, they're like, oh no.
But nothing happens at all.
Exactly, because I thought that what was gonna come was that he dropped the knife, so they're fucked. But then he has the knife.
Or did he rips his pants or something?
Yeah, but there's
But although did he stab himself? Like
exactly, or cut himself.
Nothing. He just they forget. He just cuts his hands free.
I don't know why that's in there.
And he comes, and then she's and then basically Marion, seeing this brave act of heroism, kind of forgets the whole fight, and she falls in love with him again. And she's like, he's so cool. Like she just loves him again. What an easy woman. No, another. It's like what other character we were laughing? Daniel Craig in Tomb Raider. She's like Daniel Craig in Tomb Raider. She doesn't have integrity.
Oh boy. So
forgets everything because the guy's hot or something.
So then we have the chase scene, like they take over the truck and go after the skull, and then you have like the bad sword fighting,
Yeah, and
It's
that
like
scene-
it's really difficult to keep up with the scene as well. Like
Yeah.
the skull keeps getting thrown from one track to another, and the characters keep jumping back and forth, and then you have Shia LaBeouf swinging on a liana, followed by
yeah.
monkeys.
Yeah.
monkeys. And I find that the scene is kind of ridiculous because Indiana Jones is like invincible. Like he just jumps into a truck full of people and starts like punching everyone, and like no one can stop him.
Yeah.
He's like an old man, and he's just like punching people left and right, and like he's jumping from trucks and doing all these insane things. Like did you saw the scene I showed you, right? The like in that scene he does in the first movie he's trying to get into the truck that has the ark. Basically, he chases it with a horse, and he jumps into the truck, and yeah, the Nazis are trying to shoot him down and stuff. And he manages to kind of get control of the truck, and the guys from the back of the truck start trying to come and stop him. And it's a very intense scene. And you can see the character is struggling much more in that scene. Like he's always the guy. Like, he gets shot. They start punching him in like his shot wound. They throw him from out the window of the car, and he then has to slide
Down
out,
underneath
down,
the
and
car.
comes back from behind. And it's like the Indiana Jones in this movie, he's just completely invincible. Like he never gets hit. He never has any difficulty doing anything, and it feels kind of like unexciting. Like the bad guys are just idiots, and they're like very easy to defeat.
Yeah. But so then you get out of I can't remember. They have the crystal skull when they get out of the jungle,
Yeah.
and then they're driving along this cliff edge, and then what's her name?
Marion.
No, Irina. What's her name? Spalkor
Yeah.
tries to Kate Blanchett.
Exactly. Kate Blanchett.
That's easier. So trying to run them off the cliff, and then they jump over a thing, I think. And that's where the ants come in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Like,
basically trying to
Seem to like land in like an ant
I get it now.
And Shia LaBeouf swings like Tarzan from one vine to the next,
Yeah,
and then he
that's
falls
stupid.
back into the truck. Like
Yeah.
the car should have been like 3 kilometers away from where he was first caught in these vines.
Yeah.
And why the monkeys?
No, yeah, why the monkeys?
Why are the monkeys friends with Shia LaBeouf? Is it like Tarzan? Can he speak to animals? Like, were they trying to do like a
boy.
Tarzan thing?
Yeah.
Because Tarzan was kind of a popular character in that time.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe they were trying to do some homage. I was like,
So weird. Yeah,
Oh
it
my
kind of
God.
it comes out of nowhere.
and then he swings back to the car. Imagine like
Yeah.
trying to do that in real life. Like, no one can do it. Not even Tarzan would be able to do that. It's just completely ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah.
The
So
end.
we land
So
on
the
the
end.
anthill. We land on the anthill.
Basically, yeah, they have a big fight in a crazy
Yeah, so they're getting
anthill.
changed. All these ants suddenly show up, and they're trying to. But then John Hurt uses the skull, and they all like
Stay
make
away
a
from
bend
them.
around them.
And finally, Indiana Jones gets to fight the big Russian guy.
Yeah,
And I thought it was gonna be interesting when I first saw it, because I thought, okay, he now he's old. Like, how is he gonna beat this guy? This guy's like like very much taller than him, much younger. He looks much stronger. Like, how is he gonna defeat this guy? It's impossible.
yeah,
And now she beats the shit out of him, basically, like with very little effort.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
Superman.
and kicks him like into the ants, and he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He dies
And
a really
then
boring
and
death.
then Marion Marion shows up again. And they all get in the car, and then she like drives. This is another bit that was like really ridiculous. Like she drives off the cliff and onto this enormous tree branch that then just like slowly tilts them downwards, and they just slip
She
into
basically
the
commits
water.
suicide.
Yeah.
They all get
Yeah.
into the car. She drives off the cliff like a maniac. And they're like, no, don't do it, don't do it. If this was real life, they would have died. Like,
Yeah,
Marion
absolutely.
Would have murdered all of
Everyone.
them.
Yeah.
No, since this is a cartoon,
Yeah, exactly.
she lands
That
on
was
top on a
very
tree branch,
cartoonish.
and a giant tree branch that kind of
Just
makes
slowly.
them you slowly fall into the river with ease, and then it like
And then
swings back.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't kind of like whip them back at some point.
No,
It
exactly.
just
They should have put like a boing sound effect or something, like just to make-
yeah, because then the Russians are like trying to climb down the
cliff,
rock,
yeah.
the cliff, and then the tree branch just kind of whips back and just
It's like a
throws
fly
Some
swatter.
of
yeah
them.
slaps some of them away. And then they're like going through down these 3 waterfalls, which is ridiculous.
3 times it drops, and then they're
3
like,
times.
"What does it mean? What are you talking about, Oxley?" And
We're in the middle of water, on the cliff face. What could you possibly mean by that?
And I mean, the second movie had a scene after they
Sorry, yeah.
It has a similar scene where they are in this raft.
I just laughing at her. At what she said.
You're in the middle of water, like you just came down from one cliff. What could he mean? Though you were fucking Indiana Jones.
No, but I mean, even Indiana Jones would have been like, "No, but there's no way.
No.
This is what it means." Like, come on.
Oh, and in the meantime, I forgot to say that Mac in the fight scene says, "Oh, I'm a CIA agent now, so I'm on your side, actually."
Yeah.
I really wish we had more time to talk about this, because these are the more interesting things to talk about. This character Mac is like, it makes Indiana Jones look like an idiot, because he's basically like, first he betrays him once. Okay, yeah, maybe Indiana Jones was really good friends with this guy. Okay, whatever.
Fine.
He's suddenly a bad guy. Indiana Jones is like, oh, okay, yeah. He already knew not to trust this guy, and then he comes again, and he's like, "No, wait, I'm a double agent." And he believes him. It's like,
yeah.
Come on, like, how much of an idiot you are. Like, this guy, like Indiana Jones, the original, from the first movie, would have never trusted this guy. He would have just killed him, like, after the first time. He would have just shot him.
Yeah. It's weird. I know. I was kind of like, you bought that? Really?
Like,
it just seemed such a sudden turn. Like, hey, by the way, no, stop it. I'm CIA now.
Why didn't he help him in the beginning of the movie then? When they were... stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid character.
So they're falling down the rapid waterfalls. They survive somehow, never get thrown out of the boat.
I mean, I think they do get thrown out of the boat because
just barely. That you kind of see them kind of climbing back into it.
Yeah, exactly.
They fall 3 times, and the third waterfall is like...
That is,
enormous.
It's like...
It's ridiculous,
no human can survive that.
Yeah.
No 65-year-old man can survive that. Like...
Yeah, but they're fine. And
they just come swimming out of the river like a bit tired, like, oh wow, that was intense.
Woo!
Yeah.
And then they find like this skull-shaped mountain thing. So they climb up there, and then you see that Mac's been leaving trackers behind for the Russians to follow them. And then they get to the temple, I guess, and then they get followed by the natives.
That's another thing that makes no sense. Why are these natives there? How are they still alive? Like, or why are they still like, what happened? It's like it's been like thousands of years since last time.
I guess there are still like some sort of.
How did nobody found out about it? Like, it's kind of like they went back in time. It feels bizarre for me, at least. Like suddenly they're like in the ancient Aztec empire or something.
And it's also what gets me is they use the MacGuffin, right? Every time they're in danger, like with the ants,
everything,
with the natives now. Like they attack them and then they just show them the skull and they stay away. So really, there's no tension in any of these scenes. And then they go up to this temple and start knocking out these like faces, so that sand runs out and something opens and
there's like a really boring trap after they make this obelisk thing close. Then it's like, oh, finally a trap! Like finally some danger.
Yeah.
And there's like basically the stairs starts like
they start sliding into the wall.
They're like, run, come on, run, and then the things are like almost about to close. And you're thinking like, oh my god, they're gonna die, and then they close, and then they fall from like 1 meter, like they were just about to reach the bottom, and nothing happens to them.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine. They just fell down like 2 or 3 meters.
Yeah, a couple of meters into the water. And that's
no
it.
Excitement at all. Like,
and then they go further along, and they find this whole room with like all these artifacts from other ancient human civilizations.
They're like, they were archaeologists. Like,
yeah.
Like, you're not an archaeologist. You're a professor of archaeology.
And it's like, does this add anything? really? Why is this here?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, to create some kind of connection with Indiana Jones and the
Archaeology.
Like, Indiana Jones just wants fortune and glory. That's what he said in the second movie. That's his motivation as a person.
Okay.
I guess he doesn't care about. No, I don't know, but like, it seemed stupid. It seems like, don't forget that this character is an archaeologist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, and then they finally find the chamber with all these skeletons sitting in chairs.
Yeah.
And but then the Russians they're just as they're about to
That's the
put the
thing.
skull back.
Yeah.
The Russians come to put the skull back.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's like 7 skeletons.
No,
I thought it was like 12.
Yes,
sorry.
12,
Yeah.
and they have exactly.
And one of them doesn't have a head.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is the one that they have to
Return.
replace.
Yeah, and then they kind of.
They're about to, and then Kate Blanchett interrupts them and is like, I'm gonna return it,
Yeah.
which she then does,
Mm-hmm.
and then stuff starts to happen.
That's the usual. The end of all Indiana Jones villains is that they get what they want and they die, basically. Like,
Okay.
the first guy opens the Ark of the Covenant and his head explodes and everyone dies. The
Oh
end.
shit.
And the second guy, he just gets pushed down a cliff by Indiana Jones. Now. But the third guy, he drinks the fake because he has to choose the correct Holy Grail. There's
I
like a bunch of them.
see.
He picks the
The
one he
wrong
thinks is the right, and then after he drinks it,
He dies.
he transforms. He like all ages so quickly that he dies.
Oh.
And it's creepy and horrible.
Damn.
Yeah.
Those are good movies. You should watch them. But in this movie,
Don't
she
watch
kind
this
of
one.
is boring. She puts the skull back into the alien thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the aliens start to spin.
Yeah.
They
and,
merge
like,
into one alien. Who now
yeah, and
has,
the
like,
room starts to spin and brick starts to disappear.
And basically, the alien like looks at her like, and she's like, "Oh, I want to know. I want to know.
Everything.
Yeah.
I want to know everything." And then she knows so much that
That's it.
She
but,
explodes.
But she should have exploded.
I think
Like she turns to dust.
Exactly.
Like her eyes start catching fire.
Yeah.
She had
And
like
she
a
kinda
boring
burns up.
CG death.
Yeah.
Like she should have had a gross death, like the other guys who one the guy like fall down a cliff and was eaten by alligators. The other guy, his head exploded, and the other guy was he became
Aged
an old
so-
man and
yeah.
died. And
Yeah.
she just kind of like burst into flames.
Mm.
It's boring. Should have like twisted or died a gross, horrible death, worthy of an Indiana Jones
Yeah.
villain. And no, she just
And all the other Russians get sucked up into the UFO.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then like a big portal opens,
Or
and then
something-
suddenly
yeah.
John
Oh,
Hurt.
is that what that was?
Yeah,
A
because-
portal.
Yeah,
Okay.
a portal.
I thought that was a spaceship.
pathway to another dimension.
Ugh.
That's what John Hurt says right after he comes back to normal
Sanity.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, good to have you back,
Ow.
Ox. Okay, now time to the daring escape that all
Yep.
these movies have, of
Yep.
course."
Yeah.
So then they're running very slow because Indiana Jones is old. And this is one of the most ridiculous scenes. They're like, "Come on, Mac, come on!" And then Mac like trips. He trips, he falls down, and
Yeah,
he
like
just
because he went like back to collect all these like all this gold
Yeah.
and stuff, and then he trips and can't get up
he
apparently.
cannot get up.
He just lies there like he's like Indiana throws his whip at him
Yeah.
like, "Come on, Mac, you have to help me.
And he just gives
You have to
up.
work for
He
this."
just completely gives up. He's like,
He's just like, "Nah, I'm just gonna lie here. It's too late for me.
and
Save
for
yourself."
some reason, I think they wanted to have like a character moment. They're like, "Don't worry.
Don't
Indy,
worry,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be all right." He's like, "What the hell? You're gonna die. Like, get up."
I know, it was so out of like suddenly they make up right at the
Yeah.
end. It's like, don't worry about me. Okay.
It's horrible.
Yeah, so they leave him, he flies off, and then
He's like, "Goodbye, Mac."
gets
That-
sucked away, and
Yeah.
then the others escape, and then there's like water, I think, and then they get flushed upwards.
Boring.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
Like I
Should've-
thought, oh god, but no, wait, the water would just carry them upwards, so
Yeah.
it's not, and then they just get flushed
Yeah.
out of the tomb
Oh my god.
like a big toilet.
Boring, boring. And it should have put
And
like
then-
a toilet sound effect, like, "Oh, we're going down the drain."
And then they just watch the spaceship fly up and disappear, and then the water comes, and
Yeah, that's when you really, oh my god, they put like a flying saucer basically.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was like,
Yeah,
Okay.
basically the whole pyramid it was actually a big flying saucer.
yeah.
And what does he say? I say, where do you think they're going? He says, to the space. To
yeah,
space?
yeah,
It's like,
Something.
no, to space
Space-
between spaces.
yeah. Yeah, Like
Okay.
the stupidest line ever.
Oh boy!
yeah.
And this like sappy line of like, their treasure wasn't gold, it was
Oh,
knowledge.
right.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's like a cliche. It's like
Oh,
the treasure was
man.
the friendship we made along the way. Like fuck
I
that.
cannot buy things with friendship.
Where's the money?
We have to support ourselves some way as adventurous archaeologists. Come on!
And I mean, in every Indiana Jones movie, that's kind of the end, the message
Oh
in the end.
man!
He never gets
The
the treasure.
adventure are the friends we made along the way.
But that's something that you
Fuck
don't
that.
say in the movie.
Oh,
That's the
God.
thing. Like all of these movies ends with he never
Okay.
gets the treasure. Of course, he always gets empty-handed in the end. But he wins other things. He wins the girl. He wins the friendship. He wins he saves people, and he feels better with himself or something. But you don't say it.
Yeah.
Like it just
Yeah.
that becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then we jumped a little bit forward, and it's no. We have
So now he's been reinstated as a professor at the
exactly.
university.
as dean, associate dean or something like that.
Something
Dean?
like that.
Yeah.
right. Oh yeah, right.
And then they get married.
And then
And then there's a wedding, yeah, and it's like a wedding because I don't
all
know.
people shouldn't get married.
I mean,
He's old. He has to settle down.
It's just like these characters, like James Bond, Indiana Jones, like they're not supposed to get married, and if they are supposed to get married, they're not supposed to get married when they're old.
Well, he is old.
Yeah, but that's kind of sad because in the end, this is gonna sound very sexist. In the end, he doesn't get the hot girl. He just gets the. Just gets
The
one-
average girl, the
the one
old
that
girl.
was still available.
Oh,
Well, also, but I
wow.
don't want to see a movie to tell me
that I have to
What's-
settle for whoever
what's gonna
is
happen in my
available.
life. I want to fantasize.
That I have to marry the mother of my children.
Yeah, that's like Indiana Jones finally was caught by like responsibility. And,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he was grabbed out of adventure. You're like,
Oh,
no,
Yeah, now you have to settle
now
down.
you have to
Oh,
raise this
God.
kid you don't even know. Guess
Oh,
what?
goodness.
Oh boy.
But there's a cool kind of scene where I almost got scared the first time I saw it. The last scene in the film is like he gets married, they're all happy, and then Shia LaBeouf finds the hat in the floor.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
door swings open
Yeah.
and yeah.
He's like, oh, this fat. Like he's about to try it, and I was so scared. I was like, wait, no, please, don't do this to me. Like, don't make Shia LaBeouf Indiana Jones. Please, no. Oh, but then Indiana Jones takes it from him.
Yeah,
and he like
yeah,
puts it in his face, and he's like, fuck you, kid. Like, I'm Indiana Jones.
You're not taking my
You know where you
my
can.
role yet.
Yeah.
I still got some $1 million to make, kid.
Yeah, and then they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
Boring.
So that was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
A pretty confusing and
Yeah.
dull movie.
Yeah.
It's just even hard talking about it because it's actually like so boring.
Yeah.
Like yeah, when I saw it like this week, I remember like like this is just a very bad movie. And for a series that has always been characterized like by being fun and exciting, this is it's kind of like Tomb Raider levels of boringness. Like,
I wouldn't say it's quite that level,
Yeah.
but I can see where you're coming from.
but the expectations for this are higher. So to me, it was like, and when I
Yeah.
saw it the first time in the theaters, I was kind of in denial. I thought like, no, this movie was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, I love it. And I saw it many times, and now as I have been growing up, I kind of
And you're a master in filmmaking now.
yeah.
Exactly
I
like the rest of
realize,
us.
it's just really bad.
Yeah.
Um,
So, out of how many fedoras, out of 10 fedoras, would you give this movie?
4.
Okay, that's not
Yeah,
too
because
bad.
it's not that bad. Some people I still find it kind of enjoyable. Like it has some good moments, and it has like Harrison Ford, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, John Williams, like the original people. They came back together to make this film. So it's kind of like it's what it is. Like at least it's not some weird like cash in made by some other people. Like and it's well made. Like it's a high production value and. Yeah, it's not that bad, but I just cannot recommend it over the other Indiana Jones movies. Like it's just complete like middle finger to the franchise, and it kind of ruined it because this was, if they wanted to make an old Indiana Jones movie, this was the chance. This was it. Like, and they didn't do it right. And
do you have any hopes for the 5th Indiana Jones movie?
nah,
Damn.
I've been betrayed too much by Hollywood.
Aww. Oh, would you go and see it
Of
just
course.
to?
Yeah, that's how these movies work. They, like Star Wars, like people are
People are curious
see it.
and
You have to see it.
yeah.
I'm forced. They got me. So that's
Yeah.
why you feel so betrayed with these movies, because it's like, you know, you have my unconditional support. Like, but at least try to make something that you think I will enjoy. Like, and they always like give you the middle finger, and it's like they don't even try, and then you feel like you just wasted your money.
Oh. How about you then?
I would give it, I would give it 5, I think. Because I think it's, again, I haven't seen the other films, so I can only judge it for itself.
Yeah.
So I think it's a decent popcorn thing. That you can, if you don't have any emotional involvement with the film or with film in general, if you just want
It's
to
good storytelling.
exactly, if you just want to go with your friends to have like a popcorn moment, you can go and because I think some of the action scenes are like, oh shit,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I'd also give it like 5. I think my impression was also just as someone who hasn't got any investment in the franchise so far, I could like sit down and watch it and be like entertained enough for 2 hours. I don't think it's particularly challenging viewing or anything, and it's not trying to be, but I think it's good enough for what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine if you have no familiarity with this franchise, it's much more entertaining. Yeah, because you have nothing to compare it with. Like
You don't have any other expectations for
and
it.
then you have no feelings for the characters and stuff. You're just being introduced to them.
Yeah.
So this is your version of the character. Yeah. That's the thing. When you already know a character and they kind of do these things to it, it feels like off.
Yeah. So we're just on to our final quick section of bad movie title translations.
Yeah.
Have you got one for us today?
I've got one, yes.
Yay.
And it's the Japanese version. I don't know if we've done this before, actually. I don't know, like
Let's find out.
my sometimes I think sometimes I suffer from Inception syndrome, which I think somehow I get implanted memories. But it's a Japanese, the Japanese version or title for Being John Malkovich.
Okay, yeah.
Oh
man, I have that one too.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
But go for it. No, we haven't had that one yet.
Okay.
It's a good one, though, I think.
So the Japanese version for Being Joel Malkovich is Malkovich Whole.
Whole.
Like I have like the translation, the whole of Malkovich.
What? And does it have, I've never seen that movie. Does it make any sense?
Because like someone I think enters his brain
his mind,
or something?
yeah, like you open a door and then you enter his
You're
mind.
in the head of John Malkovich and then you can control him.
Oh, this sounds weird. Why didn't they just...
So they just decided to name it Malkovich Whole.
Yeah, the whole of Malkovich.
So it's like, okay.
It sounds sexual.
Yeah, that's the porn version. That's what one of the comments that I read was like, is that the porn
Is that the
version?
porn parody? I found one, but it's for a TV show.
Okay.
Not for a film. So it's Breaking Bad.
I think I know
And I
this one.
thought, this is quite good. It's like the Slovenian title for it, and it's called Meth Dad in Slovenia.
Meth Dad. Sounds like a sitcom. Like,
Yeah.
I know, right?
yeah,
You
sounds-
think like the sitcom version
Meth
of Breaking Bad.
Dad.
Meth
Meth
Dad.
Dad.
Sounds like a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes
What the
Breaking
fuck?
Bad has its funny moments. So
Yeah,
maybe they
you wouldn't
thought,
say it's a comedy. Like, I definitely think it's a.
oh,
A
God.
drama.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Yeah.
Slovenians find it really funny. They're like, ah,
Meth.
she died. She died because she was
She
hot
choked on her own
Exactly.
vomit.
and he didn't do anything.
The crisis of the medical health system
In
in
America. Those stupid Americans.
Yeah.
He has cancer. haha.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
But I mean, I guess it gets to the point. Like, you know what the show's about.
He's
Exactly.
bad and
And
he
he
does
does
a lot of
Meth.
meth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do it.
No, he doesn't literally. He makes it.
produces
He makes it. Yeah.
He makes it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
Finally managed to wrap this one up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andres,
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
for your insight as a fan and filmmaker.
You gave us a lot of insight.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of weird insight.
And you will be back.
But I
In
could
a few
speak about this
episodes.
movie for like 3 more episodes. But unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
But
it.
we'll have you in a few more weeks.
Yeah.
To discuss another film, and we're looking forward to it.
Until then,
It's going to be pretty exciting. So
Yeah.
everyone who's listening, check it out.
Exactly.
tune in.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us another week. And I guess we'll hear you,
Next
or you'll
time.
hear us in the
Yeah.
next time. I'm Altair.
I'm Hazel.
You're Andres.
I am Andres.
Silence.
And
This was Elevator Pitch.
bye.
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 If you like this episode, why not hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode? And if that's still not enough, you can follow us on Instagram at elevatorpitch_pod to stay up to date with all the latest news.